Hello, my name is Amanda Mosley, and this is my Science of Reading presentation. This is my introduction. What is the science of reading? The science of reading, I will talk about what it is and the definition and some other parts that have been researched to figure out what we actually have to know to learn how to read as students. The theoretical models that multiple people have put together in place to help teachers and help people understand this is what has to be done for people to read. This is what skills they have to know to be able to decode words to read. Then also we're going to identify different skills, like I said, to be a good reader. And we're going to start off with the science of reading. So I did watch one of the videos, and I did really like this comment. It said, our brains were not wired to read. A lot of people say, well, reading comes natural. It does not. We have to actually teach our brains to read and wire them to read. So it says that we have to know the words to be able to comprehend the words. So researchers have done all this research about what our brain needs to be able to do for us to comprehend anything. Well, anything that we can read. The science of reading also helps teachers see, it breaks it down to little individual categories, I guess you can say, and it helps a teacher say, okay, well, this is missing, so we need to work on this, but they have all this, so this is why they can't read, because this part is missing. The simple view of reading, word recognition and language comprehension is the two big things of the simple reading. Word recognition is just that. It's recognizing words and being able to decode words whenever you're reading. And whenever you look at the simple view of reading, my title on this slide, you look at the and you know automatically that's the. So you're able to recognize those words, because if you can't recognize words on a paper, then you aren't going to be able to read. Language comprehension, this is where one has to be able to listen and comprehend, and if they're able to listen to somebody like reading a story out loud, then they're going to be able to comprehend more, and this will help them when they start reading. I always heard that if you read out loud, you don't have to read to anybody, but just reading out loud will help your fluency. This is the Scarborough's reading rope. Something interesting about this is we had a professional development at my school, and we actually made this, so it was pretty cool. We made it with pipe cleaners. So this has the two major ropes. It's the language comprehension and the word recognition from the simple view of reading, and then he breaks it down into little sub skills to where each rope represents something. So I put this picture on here, and this is where I got it from. But I put that picture on there because I really think this is such a cool visual for visual learners, because they're all wrapped up together. And if one's missing, then one's not going to be able to read. The four-part mental processor, this is talking about the four-part mental processors that we have in our brain, and that teachers should always have students' mental processors working together instead of one working at one time, one working at the other time. There was a quote that I found that I really loved, and I'm going to read it exactly so I don't miss anything. It says, it shows why recognition and fast processing of sounds, letter patterns, morphemes, and as well as meaning, language comprehension, and background knowledges are all important as a reading skill. So you need all of these four processors to be working at one time. because if they're not, then it's going to be students are going to run into different reasons why they're not able to do certain skills like decode a word or substitute or um, take away a letter, what's left. So that's what I thought. It was very important because it needs all of it, and teachers need to teach where children are used to using all four mental processors together. The next, erase phases of the world level reading. So we learned a little something about this as an undergrad, but it was different phases. Our first stage is pre-alphabetic. This is where like the students can write their name, and I've run into this in kindergarten since I'm a kindergarten teacher. I've run into them being able to write their name. That they know what lines to write, what lines to connect. But if you ask them what their name starts with, they have no idea. Or if you point out a letter in their name, what is this letter? They have no idea. They just know how the strokes to write their name. So that would be considered pre-alphabetic stage. Phase. I'm sorry. Early alphabetic phase. Sorry. A student may be able to only spell like cat, dog, only one syllable words, and in kindergarten that is what we're working on right now, is spelling one syllable words, sounding them out and blending it. The later alphabetic phase, the students can write. This is probably beginning in first grade to second grade. They're able to write and they know what they're wanting to talk about, but they may not necessarily sound it out and spell the words exactly how they're supposed to be spelled, but they're writing it down and they can tell you what it says. The consolidated alphabetic phase, um, they are studying the words like the root words, um, the prefix, the suffix. They're learning about where these words came from. Are they Greek words, Anglo-Saxon words? So they're learning about that. The next is phonological awareness, and this is having students being able to manipulate words. Like whenever I do Haggerty, every day we do it. Every day we use the change this to this and take this away. What do I have? So we use that every day, and that helps their phonological skills to where if they have a word and they don't know what it is, they will be able to take off a part and say, okay, well, I know what this is. Now let me add this letter to it and then make the whole word. This is also syllables, counting words in a sentence. That's what we've been doing also. So that's how we kind of implement that in our classroom. Phonics. Phonics is putting the letter and sound and realizing that there is a relationship there, that A makes an A sound. With sight words, it's under phonics and they're kind of like heart words. Some people call them heart words, some people call them sight words. Sight words are something that you need to know like real fast. You don't have time to sit there and say, okay, well, this is an S and they don't have time to do that. Fluency also helps a student read by, this is the ability of reading text fast without errors and also being able to comprehend what they're reading. Like I said, one can achieve fluency by reading out loud. That's what I had to do when I was a child. I know multiple other people that learned reading fluency by reading out loud. It don't have to necessarily be to anybody, but just out loud. Vocabulary. This is they have to know the background information on the words that they're reading. Code emphasis versus meaning emphasis. Code emphasis is teachers having the students learn the letters and the sounds. Also, meaning emphasis is having the students know the sounds that the letters make. The sounds that the letters make. mapping, it's sight words that are familiar, which I already finished. Conclusion is we've already talked about all these skills that have which makes a good reader. This it takes more effort than we realize. Our brains are not wired to read, so we have to train them. We have to research on what we need to do to make a good reader. Those are my references.